Hello again, this is Azer reporting in. This time around, I'm going to talk about the STIA seasonal update. Yeah. The rest of December is really nothing. Now, of course, it's just one day before the whole new NGS headline is going to come up, and looking at how bad the previous NGS headline is, I just wish we could get something out of this game because I can see a lot of competitions in the horizon, like the live service free to play game model. I don't really think there's a lot of companies actually doing the same thing in this sort of like environment. But in comparison to something that is actually subscription based, they are doing fine because they are definitely funded by the subscription that is being paid by the players. But free to play live service, oh, it's in such a state that I really wish they don't even exist in the first place. The only time I actually like a free to play live service game was back in the good old golden age of MMORPGs, where games actually had a reason to exist and they had to make content for those games. And they had to innovate somewhat in order to compete with all the gigantic companies who are having like huge MMORPGs back then. But nowadays, everybody who have free time to play the MMOs back then probably grew up or probably have their own family or probably, became very old and they don't have time for video games anymore like the past. So what happened then? Can we actually salvage this free-to-play live service model? Can AAA studios actually turn around and improve their live service games somehow? Maybe in the future, probably when AI is able to create infinite content. But for now, I just think that the human being is just not suited to, you know, churn out infinite content for the players like a live service game does. Unless you're an FPS shooter. And yeah, I have said this in the quotations because not all live service FPS games are good as well. Like games like Halo Infinite, they literally build a forge just so that players can create content because they can't create content by themselves. I don't understand because Microsoft is a huge company. They can just they can just put in so much more money to just hire more people to help out on 343, but apparently no, apparently not. All the people just left the company for some reason because of how bad it is. The game is. I don't understand. Halo Infinite have so much potential, and yet, yeah, it just fell apart because it's a live service free-to-play game. Same thing goes with Overwatch. It's not Overwatch 2, guys. It's Overwatch 1.5. There's no reason for you to play this if Overwatch 1 were to exist, because you cannot even earn free cosmetics other than the free battle pass that you can actually play in. And other than that, the legacy coins is always going to be available if as long as you have played the old game before. And if you never played the old game before, oh whoopsies, you have no cosmetic items, I guess. Boohoo, you cannot earn free V-Bucks like Fortnite. Okay, like come on guys. Like make better monetization decisions, alright? The reason why I even stick to New Genesis is because, well, if you play the game completely free from day one, you can earn everything by just playing the game. There's no string attached. You can just you can just play level 1 to level 70 without paying a dime, and you'll be fine because you can even get the top tier augments, you can get the top tier weapons, you can even get everything else, even including the cash shop items that are usually exclusive. You can even get them and purchase them and use them, which is completely the opposite of most of the live service games out there. Hence why I actually wanted to believe in New Genesis, and I believe Sega can definitely do better than this. Alright? But because of the nature of how this game gives you so much fashion flexibility, I guess it somehow turned out into become a dress-up simulator more than a content-based MMO or RPG game. That's what they call themselves as. But hey, who am I to complain? In an industry, in this current economic recession, in this whole war that is going on in the world, with this whole economic crisis that's happening with a lot of other countries, including like all the major powers. I doubt we are going to get good games unless the economy actually gets better. And that is just pretty sad because not only will you suffer in real life, you can't even find a good game for you to actually vent out your frustrations in real life. That is that is like the worst case scenario, bros. Like, usually when you come back from a hard day at work, you just wanted to sit down in your couch or sit in front of your gaming computer or laptop and just enjoy a game where you can just, play and just have fun for like several hours, and then after that, be done with it and just, you just go to your sofa and just lay around and maybe watch some Netflix and go back to bed or just take care of your family and then complete some chores and then sleep. Well, unfortunately, we just can't have that kind of life nowadays, huh? Even games are trying to it like make us feel like they're second jobs somehow. Even those great games that we are always anticipating has been like very, very mediocre. As in, those games have a very, very good core gameplay, but because of the bugs at the launches, it's just going to ruin the game, and nobody is going to bat an eye anymore, even after they actually repair the game. No Man's Sky is still like nobody actually still playing it because the base game is really just exploring an endless universe, which is actually made of the same stuff. It's not a cup of tea for me personally, but maybe for some people who wanted just a peaceful space exploration game, you can maybe still dive into it. But unfortunately, because of the first impression a lot of players are getting from that first time when they purchased No Man's Sky, yeah, I could understand why they cannot even return to the game anymore. And yeah, I actually am glad that I didn't refund the game because it gotten better, but after trying it out, it's still not really the No Man's Sky that it was promised from the start. Same thing goes with something like Star Citizen. It's Star Citizen is like the live service of crowdfunding. It literally lasts until today, and yet the game is still like still in alpha. I I mean, sure, the technical marvels that you can see, like in, for example, in the gameplay, how intricate the systems can connect with each other, and how seamlessly you can actually enter a spaceship and you can just, control every bits and parts of it. It's pretty cool, but for me, I think that if they wanted to make a scope of the game to be that crazy, it would probably take another 20 years unless they employ some AI machines to help them to complete the creation of all those handmade planets, if I'm not wrong, I guess. But other than that, it's all right if you have the money, or you think they are probably still working on it. So it's still not really a good. It's still a very, very long way ahead until the game is going to be released, anyways. So, and there's a lot more other online games like I don't really want to say about this, like Warframe, Destiny 2, I don't know, Counter Strike, Apex Legends, League of Legends. It might look like there's a lot of games out there, but I'm not really an FPS guy. I'm not really a MOBA kind of guy. I'm not really a battle royale kind of guy. And unfortunately, in this day and age, most of the consoles and PC games are mostly all these seemingly boring, repetitive, just play on this map and play on this map and maybe play the same heroes again and again kind of a situation. I don't really like this whole game industry timeline that we're living in. I really wish that we have more, flash out storylines. We have much more lore. We have much more world building in terms of like even the online games. I wish they actually at least able to accomplish something that is meaningful for players who are actually playing the game. Something like the Monster Hunter series. Resident Evil series are probably like doing pretty well because they are just following the same formula over and over again. But remember, guys, those are not really live service games. They are most likely just single player games. They're just doing the same thing over and over again, and they don't really need to innovate that much in order to make their game successful. And yeah, even Pokemon, like yeah, remember guys, the highest selling kind of a game in the whole world in beside Mario is literally like trash because they rushed the game out. Even after the first 1.1 patch is still broken apparently, and the performance is even worse than the launch patch. Like, what is going on with Game Freak? I it, it's not really a hard game. When I look at the Pokemon, what I look at the newest Pokemon game, it just doesn't look like it's a very sophisticated game. Its graphics is so bad that I think I can actually recreate their worlds easily, and somehow they have so much technical issues still existing in the game. But unfortunately, at the same time, this is also one of the best Pokemon games. A lot of Pokemon fans actually told the same story as well, and unfortunately, it's just bogged down by the bugs again. Callisto Protocol, oh wow, everybody is waiting for the Dead Space 3 point, Dead Space sequel or something, right? And nope, apparently it's just alright. It's just a very nice looking Dead Space 3 like game with clunky combat and repetitive gameplay. What? Like, everybody is putting their expectations way too much on a new studio. Like, come on, guys. When there's a new studio is being out, when a lot of players would think like, oh wow, they're going to create a game exactly like this previous game. But remember, guys, there's copyright issues. They cannot really follow those same mechanics that's existing from those older games, guys. Like if they wanted to create the whole, Dead Space series now, nope, they cannot because, well, it's not Dead Space. This is not they don't really have the ownership of that title. They cannot use the patents that was being collected by EA and has been patented by them. So, in the end, Callisto Protocol has to, build from the ground up as there's another horror game that is kind of mediocre again. And there's a lot more other games I wanted to talk about, like Square Enix having some very weird games being out, like even the Valkyrie games or the Final Fantasy action combat kind of a game where the guy always keeps saying chaos or something. What is going on with all these games? Like back then, whenever a new game releases, it has the soul, it has the adventure, it has the it has the character of the game, where it actually leaves an impression for you whenever you play the game. But nowadays, it's like every game is just a FPS battle royale free-to-play game, and I'm just kind of very tired of this whole genre. Can we get better games? Unfortunately, I think the only way for you to get better games now is to just support indie developers and hope those indie studios that are really and truly passionate about making actually an innovate those games are funded. Get those indie devs funded, get them have a lot of like fat checks so that they can actually develop very satisfying games, so that they can show to the AAA studios like what their mistakes are at. Gamers nowadays are slowly turning into commercial products instead of like being a player with our own personalities. Unfortunately, the corporations and the large game studios out there is just literally burning their money, thinking and just hiring anybody who ever has a talent on creating any successful titles to just make whatever game that sticks to the wall. They are just literally throwing every dart they can onto the wall with money and hope one of them lands and become a huge hit. But unfortunately, if you look at the whole MMO genre, which is my beloved genre, it's just really mediocre nowadays. Final Fantasy XIV is probably the best one, but it's a single player RPG story based game just with online interactions and raids. I guess that's the only kind of a game that they are having. WoW is a theme park MMO where you need to purchase the expansions, or else you cannot really play the whole game anyways. So yeah, those two are like the highest amounts of players, and nothing is interesting about them as well. The Lost Ark is pay to win. A lot of people are like had enough of the bull crap that is actually being put out by the Smilegate. I don't understand what is going on in the game, because I'm not able to play it because it's published by Amazon, and Amazon thinks Southeast Asia doesn't exist. So yeah, that's an issue, I guess. Blue Protocol, everybody is like really hyping up Blue Protocol to be like the next savior of MMORPGs, or the next Genshin killer, or Tower of Fantasy killer. I don't know, maybe an NGS killer. But at the same time, when I look at the gameplay, I just realized it's actually a faster paced Final Fantasy 14, and that's it. It's not really competing with New Genesis. So yeah, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna like lie. It's actually looking pretty good as an anime RPG, anime MMORPG or something. But for so far, looking at the amount of classes it has, I don't really think the starter classes are that interesting for me. And it's a slightly medieval kind of a futuristic kind of a game storyline, because it's a kind of a pseudo futuristic medieval kind of an era, I guess. It looks pretty good, but I just hope they are going to the right direction, because hopefully it's not a mid game again like Tower of Fantasy. And what else, gacha games apparently are fun, because, well, what else can you play on your phone other than, mobile gachas? So, I've been playing some Nikkeis here and there. It's still a really, really gacha bound kind of a game. If you don't have a pilgrim, you cannot do a lot of damage, which is kind of hindering my progress, to be honest. And yeah, and that's the whole gist of it. The whole gist of the whole live service industry currently. What can I say? I really wish somebody could make a good live service out there. But for now, as long as there's no AI that can create infinite content for us all to consume, and MMORPGs is still going to be, not enough content, as what a lot of hardcore players are going to say the same thing again. So at the meantime, I just hope, the next year and the following few next futures in our future, the several few years in the future, I hope that they will have better live services, or have live services that have meaningful content, meaningful progression, and interesting storylines and plot lines for the sake of us all players. Sanity, please. We are literally living in an era where every live service requires you to just get a healthy dose, or literally overdose on hopium and copium, in order for you to even continue playing those games. And I'm really glad that I'm still playing New Genesis, because despite, it being like the heaviest of all of them in terms of like inhaling your copium and hopium, at least it's very, very drop in and drop out kind of an MMO, I guess. You don't really need to stress like, oh, if I miss today, I'll be missing this out. I can just drop in and play anytime I wanted to, even when I am busy in work. I don't really need to worry about that game. That's why I really enjoyed New Genesis. So, I wonder if everybody else have their own favorite pastime games that you can probably recommend to me, or just leave it in the comments below and tell me what kind of live service games that you think are very fun to play. So at the moment, I'll just stick to New Genesis and see what's up in the whole game industry. But for now, this is my mini side talk series that I probably shouldn't extend further on. And if you enjoy my content about my talks about all this gaming industry talks and all this perspective into gaming, you can probably subscribe and maybe leave a like to the video as well, just so you can actually at least help me on this. Because my channel has been stagnating because I didn't really have time to upload a lot of stuff because of real life work. But in the future, if it's actually much more successful, I will spend more time. I'll dedicate more time to create content. And I will have some videos coming up soon as well. So for the meantime, well, this is Azer. Thank you for watching until the end. Sayonara.